Pripyat. It is here where the families and employees of the Chernobyl nuclear power plant had lived until the day of the catastrophe. Immediately after the explosion, about 50,000 citizens were irrevocably evicted. Kiev. Top of the antenna. The Duga 2 radar began its work in July 1976. The radar was used to detect the ballistic missiles. What you hear is the transmission received by the antenna you're standing on. The signal disturbed the short connectivity and was called the Russian woodpecker after the disaster of the reactor number 4. Due to the interference caused by the radiation, the Moscow Eye was turned off forever. Training room. Training room. Training room. Training room. Training room. Training room. Top of the antenna. Guide. Under the antenna. Control room. Roof of the control room. Control room. There are a lot of conspiracy theories about the Moscow Eye. Some say that the antennas were used to cause storms anywhere in the world, and others about manipulating people's minds with the radio waves. No fact supports these theories, and the original long-range missile detection system of the radar seems to be true. Scrapyard. Scrapyard. Kiev. Swimming pool. Indoctrination was a crucial element of the education. From early on, children were taught about the creators of communism, the leading role of the party, and the foundations of the socialist society. The teachers instilled a total submission of the individual and the collectivization of the actions. Such classrooms were indispensable in all the republics of the Soviet Union or the countries of the Eastern Bloc, such as East Germany or Poland. Walk around and learn more about the education in the Soviet Union. Meetings, concerts, and artistic work reviews. Somewhere in here, you will find a wooden case. Open it carefully. Shortly after the Second World War, in which the USA and the Western countries fought against the Soviet Union and the countries of the Eastern Bloc, the Cold War began. It meant a rising tension between the USA and the Soviet Union without a direct aggression from any of those countries. It led to the arms race and the large-scale production of mass destruction weapons. The fallout shelters were built. Kiev. The Azure swimming pool was a pride of the city. It was built in 1970 and it had served the residents until the day of the explosion at the power plant. It had a pool and a gym. Diving platform. After the explosion in 1986, the pool was used by the liquidators and the power plant employees. It was finally closed in 1998. Gym. 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 At the gym, they held physical education lessons and sport competitions for children from the nearby school number 3. Back to Pripyat. Back to Pripyat. Scrapyard, Kiev. Chernobyl, Minsk, hospital, flat. Minsk. Attention, attention. Dear comrades, the City Council of People's Deputies reports on the unfavorable radiation situation in the town of Pripyat in connection with the accident at the Chernobyl nuclear power plant. The party, government, all the things that the residents left were thrown through the windows and then buried in the areas designated earlier for the further expansion of the city. The purpose was to discourage people from returning home. If you want, you can go to the roof to see the panoramic view of the city. View from the roof. The evacuation of Pripyat still remains controversial. It is believed that the permanent displacement of the population was unnecessary, and the radiation level in the city is lower than the background radiation in some inhabited parts of Europe and the world. Flat. 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 Kiev. Amusement Park Community Center. Community Center. The energetic community center was a modern recreation facility with an auditorium, a sports hall, a cafe and a disco. In front of the center there was also Lenin's monument. However, it hasn't survived. Hall of the community center. In this place, the cultural life of Pripyat was bursting. To find out more, listen to the stories of the guide. Guide.
Энергетик был центром культурной жизни
The energetic community center was the center of the cultural life of Pripyat. Almost all mass events were held here. Weddings, birth registration of newborns, wedding parties, party and union meetings, and numerous concerts. Back then, many people were coming here. The hall, which you can see now, I remember very well the day when we first found out about it. It was rumored, as you could not talk about it in the Soviet Union. We immediately felt that this subject was a taboo. We seemed to find out about it quite accidentally. As I am from Lviv, we could listen to some European radio stations. So we heard about it just because Sweden released this information. And then it reached us as rumors. So my mom and I still remember how it was, just day by day. We learned about it on the 2nd of May 1986. For example, the tragedy occurred on the 26th of April 1986, and we found out as late as the 2nd of May. We were in Carpathian Mountains. We never liked amusement park, flat, hospital. Moscow Eye, Chernobyl nuclear power, Moscow. We are now at the site which is called a sarcophagus observation deck, or the new safe confinement. This is probably the most popular place for everyone who comes to the area of the Chernobyl power plant. And behind me, you can see the sarcophagus, which was constructed in a very short time, in just 6 months. The monument, which is located here, was erected in 2006, and it was placed there to commemorate the 25th anniversary of the launching of the construction of the old sarcophagus. It was designed for the operational term of only 30 years. The catastrophe interrupted the construction of blocks number 5 and 6. Had the construction been completed, Chernobyl would have become the largest nuclear power plant in the world. Chernobyl nuclear power plant. More than 900 employees from 24 countries are involved in building the new safe confinement. The top priority is their safety. Each employee carries 2 dosimeters. One shows the current radiation level, and the second counts the old sarcophagus, which is a concrete bunker, was to secure nearly 300 tons of various kinds of radioactive substances, including thorium, dust, uranium and plutonium. The concrete construction was supposed to prevent the radioactive particles from escaping into the air or groundwater. Due to the lack of time and the technical limitations during the construction process, the sarcophagus becomes unstable and fails to fulfill its task. Fortunately, the construction of the new technologically advanced sarcophagus is almost complete. The construction of the new sarcophagus started in the mid-90s. Its purpose is to tightly cover the old, decrepit sarcophagus above the reactor number 4. After finishing the construction, the new sarcophagus will be placed on the top of the old one, and the machines inside will dismantle the old collapsing structure. The long process of utilizing radioactive waste will begin.